Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Becca's Backyard, the winter edition. Got a little snow again last night. Pretty sunny outside, as you can see all over me, and also kind of cold though. So I could normally brave it for you guys, and I would probably, next week, I'll probably be sitting out in the cold because it's just so pretty. But this week I am, I would say, just about spoonless. So I'm gonna in advance ask you to be kind for whatever it is that I may say in this video or how I might say it, because one of the things that happens for me when I'm really struggling with energy and having spoons and all of that stuff is that it becomes harder for me to find the right words and put them in the right order and get them out of my mouth in any kind of real way. And so I'm going to do it anyway with you guys, because the whole point of this unedited kind of weekend video with you is sort of just to say, this is who I am. This is what autism looks like when I'm not sitting in my office or standing in front of a room giving a presentation or writing a blog. This is how life is for me. So just be kind. That's all I ask. So yeah, I am spoonless from traveling. That is the truth. I set myself up for a crazy November. It wasn't all my fault. I didn't do it all to myself entirely. A lot of the events were planned very close together, in fact, almost overlapping the annual conferences that we all kind of go to here in America and the ones that I happened to put in for last year. And so I actually ended up having to give away one of those presentations. Fortunately, it was a collaborative project about asset, which I've talked to you guys about before. And I have a wonderful, wonderful community council member who took that over for me because I physically couldn't be there. I was able to Zoom in though, because we made accommodations. But still, on top of that, there were the things that I did have to do. I mean, I literally did, no joke, 7 planes in the last 2.5 weeks. I've seen Columbus, sort of, Houston, almost, kind of, the airport and the hotel, been back to New York. In fact, that's what I just got back from, was our my last trip of November. My last trip of 2018 rather, is the one for Thanksgiving back in New York. So we made it back safely, thoroughly exhausted because it was the last trip of the big crunch of all of those trips. But the reason that I think I was, or I am, so much more tired I think than I would normally be, or at least struggling more than I would normally be. I mean, I literally have been sleeping for the last 2 days, almost, get up, eat breakfast, go back to sleep kind of thing. So I think that comes from the fact that for the first time in almost 2 years, I traveled alone for these work trips. They were really expensive trips. They were very close together. It would have cost us a lot of money for all 3 of us to go on these trips, and I was able to schedule them so that they were kind of really back to back. So it was going to be less days if I could swing it. And I said to myself as I was making the travel plans, sure, self, you can handle it. You traveled alone for so many years. Sure, you didn't like it, but you did it. You know how to do it. And you can do it for these work trips. You'll suck it up, right? Suck it up, buck it up for these solo trips and go and do them. But the truth is that I'm not so thrilled with the way 2 of my 3 presentations came out. I mean, I did okay. It's pretty standard for me to do them, but I know I was kind of low energy, and I'm certain the reason for it was all of the traveling alone. So this is what it was like for me to travel alone a little bit. Some of the things that I struggled with. So the first thing I struggle with, I think, in traveling alone is it's sort of like a form of separation anxiety. I feel like that's a childhood thing that they put you on, but I think that I really struggle with it still as an adult. Because I really love home. I love my family that I've built. I love the way that my life is accommodated to my needs. And I really worked really hard to build this home life that I have, and everything's sort of more or less under my control in my life. But traveling means letting it all out of my control. So I have to leave all the things I care about and hope that everything will be okay while I'm gone. And I start to get really panicky. And so the leaving of the house to go on the travel is my first usual hurdle, right? So it's big anxiety. I have to fight through panic attacks that sometimes are too big. They used to be too big. Sometimes they keep me from school and things like that. But trying to learn how to process them. One of the things that I did in the last 1.5 years or so is to eliminate a lot of my medications that I was taking for anxiety to see if I could improve my life and thereby reduce the anxiety and the need for medication. So I didn't have any on hand to kind of battle through my panic attacks with, and I had to manage. So I'm fortunate to live in a marijuana state, so I was able to participate in that and help to sort of ease my nerves a little bit, but it didn't do much. And those panic attacks are really big. Like, they're hold on to your seat panic attacks for me. I don't know how else to describe them. And then, I get to the airport and I've worked through all those panic attacks. I'm now already exhausted from the panic attacks, but now I have to do human functioning. So I have to check in, which normally wouldn't be a big deal in the airport, because for most of us, it's now a kiosk thing. You just run your card, so there's no talking. You just have to kind of pay attention to that little space. But for me, especially on this journey, I had to go up to the desk and ask for pre-board for disability, which normally with Walter with me is something that doesn't really get questioned, but I've had it questioned in the past. And so going up to that desk and asking for that is unnerving for me. It gives me a lot of anxiety. But I went ahead and I did that. And so now I'm through like the next hump. And mind you, I've just gotten to the first airport. That's where I am now, is the first airport. And then I have to go through security, and I have to go through all of that. And of course, security makes me anxious because I feel like even no matter how hard I tried to do all of the right things, maybe I forgot something in my bag and I'm going to get in trouble. And I worry about that the whole way through. And then you get through that and you have the panic of putting your shoes back on and grabbing all your stuff before somebody steals it and getting yourself to your gate and all of that stuff. So that's like the getting to and through the airport alone of one trip. Now I need to multiply that by sleeping in hotel rooms and not having food available to me that I necessarily like or can eat, clothing that I have to wear for work events, things like that. And worrying about constantly leaving things behind in all of these places. And then, of course, there's the general lack of control of being on an airplane, which also makes me nervous. I do a lot of different things for myself for all of that, but as you can hear, it's a lot of energy that gets sucked up to do this thing. And you do it multiple times really close in a row without any days to recharge, and you have this. I am struggling with managing facial expressions right now. I can see that because I get to look at my lovely self when I make this video. And I'm definitely struggling with body movements. I'm dropping things more often. I'm bumping into things more often. And the words are sort of a struggle. The rambling, I can tell it's been 7 minutes. I have no idea what I said in the last 7 minutes. I hope it's good. But yeah, that's sort of the effects of it that I'm all feeling. And over on top of all of that is just a general exhaustion. Like, I could hop back into bed right now and sleep for another day. And so, I thought about that. And so here's the answer to it is I need my supports. It was traumatic and exhausting and brought up old coping mechanisms and old habits and old feelings to have to go through all of this, that I know ways to work around them. And I know ways that I can problem solve those things for myself. So there was a big lesson in all of this for me, which is, you know what? These days, I really, really can't travel alone. I can do it. I can force myself through it. But I lived that life already. I lived that life of forcing myself through things that are uncomfortable because I'm supposed to. And I don't want to do that anymore. So one of my big changes and challenges for 2019 is figuring out how to balance public speaking engagements that are not local, and also the life that I want to be living, the life that I've worked so hard to create. And with that, I'm going to leave you and say, what are you doing in your life to create the life that you want to live? And what changes are you making? Start thinking about them, because December is coming, you guys, and I'm going to get serious about talking about 2019 really shortly, as soon as I get all these spoons back. Till then, I will see you guys next week. Have an amazing week, and be good. Send me your thoughts. I'll send you mine. Bye.